everybody. But if you just want to see the person speaking or whoever's doing the thing, put speaker view. And then your video will not go on Facebook Live. Only people that can see you are the people that are in this room right now. So you don't have to worry about it being seen. But if you speak, your voice will be heard, just like at church. When we speak during sharing and pearls, people might hear your voice on Facebook Live. So if you're uncomfortable with that, you can type in your prayer request or type in your pearl, and Tamara's going to monitor those and read those out. And we're just all in this together, guys, just figuring it all out. So. You all look fabulous. I have my jammy bottoms on. So to send some good vibes, because I'm a little scattered at the moment, but it'll all work. Sure. We can always delete too if we need to. Don't forget to mute yourself too, Char, when you're. Whoever's coughing. Abney, I'm going to mute you. Are we live? Oh, we're live. Oh, well, good morning. I'm Reverend Sunday Cote, and this is CSL Leesburg's morning service. If you might have heard all the news that we're taking our service completely online for the next couple of weeks. And so this is a new experience for us, and we're just so glad that you're with us, and we're grateful to have this opportunity to be in community together. So bear with us as we figure out how to flow through this service, and I'm going to turn it over to Nam Shakti, our practitioner for the day. She's going to share our sacred space, open our sacred space.
Hello, and welcome to Centers of Spiritual Living, Leesburg. I am Nam Shakti, and I'm one of your practitioners. And our theme this year for 2020, Spiritual Vision, this month we're honoring the Divine Feminine, and it's honoring the Divine Feminine, the women's space. And right now we create our sacred space and set our intentions of deepening into our awareness and practice of the 5 pillars by creating this altar and lighting our candles. In honor of International Day of Women and in celebration of the Divine Feminine, our pillars are represented by women today, Divine Feminine. So the first pillar is study, and that's represented by the divine quality of light and the color yellow and the work of Emma Curtis Hopkins, known as the teacher of teachers and the new thought. Her teaching reminds us to use the power of our mind in creating our reality. And the next pillar is prayer, represented by the divine quality of power and the healing color green and the symbol of Kuan Yin. In China, Kuan Yin is considered the Bodhisattva of compassion, who listens and responds to the cries of all beings. She's omnipresent, for in the lands of the universe, there's no place where she does not manifest herself. And her wondrous compassion everywhere pours spiritual rain like nectar everywhere while quenching the flames of distress. And the blue candle represents the pillar of meditation and the divine quality of peace. Our symbol is Tara. The Tibetan name is Tara, means both star and tear. Mahayana Buddhists worship the Divine Mother as Tara, who is said to have been born out of one of the tears of Buddha, of compassion that fell to the earth. She offers liberation, illumination in our everyday life. And the four pillars circulation and the divine quality of life, represented by the red candle. And the symbol for us is Lakshmi, the Hindu goddess of prosperity, life, and fertility. We know that the great law of circulation works in our lives. As we give, so shall we receive. And the white candle represents the fifth pillar of service and the divine quality of love, represented by Mother Mary. Representing the nurturing mother energy, this candle is lit as a call to be of service to our world, seen through the eyes of love. And let us just take a moment right now to close our eyes and take a deep breath in. We bless this space and our time together as we weave each of these pillars of spiritual living into our service today. May they deepen our spiritual practice of study, prayer, meditation, circulation, and service, expanding our minds and heart to the five divine qualities of light, power, peace, life, and love. We also bless everyone that made our service today, everyone that's watching us live, and anyone that's in attendance, and for our beautiful space, our sacred space, and us being in our homes, surrounded by love. May the energy of love that's generated here bless everyone abundantly, and so it is. And while we're in a space of blessing, it is our time to share any prayer or request or celebration that we may have. You can, if you're watching us live, you can say it out loud and then we'll hold you in that space. If you are on live Zoom with us, you can write it in the chat if you wish, or you can unmute yourself and say it out loud.
I want to chat. Mute. Mute.
This is Robert. I have a request. I would like us to all think about Connor and his girlfriend Lexi as they drive today and make sure that they're safe. So that's mine.
Yes. I would like a celebration, even though, you know, everything is happening, we're still able to do service. We're still able to be in that secret space of love, of being connected with one another. And so beautiful to see everyone that showed up today. Okay, so let's just close our eyes. And as we are in that space of gratitude, and just take a deep breath in and feel that life force, that wholeness, that health, that vitality of the breath. As we know that there's only one God, one divine power, one divine essence, one divine life, which is God, which is in the air we breathe, it's in the stars in the sky, it's in the trees, in the grass, it's in our homes, it's all around us, it's in me. It's in every single muscle part of my being, in every atom tissue. As I know that this divine power, this divine essence, this divine light is in every part of me, I know that I am that I am. And I know that every individual watching this and every individual that's with us is also part of that divine essence, that light, that love, that beauty, that power that is God. As I know this, I know that every prayer that was spoken out loud, or every prayer that was not spoken out loud, and every celebration, that everything is in wholeness, in light, in prosperity, in health, in security, knowing the highest good for all, knowing that divine order is happening right now, that health, wholeness is us right now, right here with us. Healing is happening right now. As I know this, I know this to be the only truth, because it is the only truth. I'm in a place of gratitude. I am so, so grateful. So, so grateful. As I let my prayer go into the law, knowing that even before I spoke, it was done. I surrender. And I let it go and I let it be. And so it is. Amen, amen. Ashe, ashe. Sat Nam, Namaste, Namaha. And now I leave it to our beautiful music. Patty and Brent.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear us?
You're doing the part. Don't worry about the things, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Well, we're singing, don't worry about the things, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright, gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. Three little birds sit by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, a melody pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. Well, we're singing, don't worry about things, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright, it's gonna be alright. Yeah, we're singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright, it's gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. Three little birds sit by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, a melody pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you.
I'll be the clapper since since we can't hear everybody sharing. Thank you, Brent, Patty, and thank you for everybody who's coming together today and learning new ways for us to share and be in community. It's funny, one of the ministers on our ministers forum posted this last week. He said, "Hey, does anyone have those notes on that class about how to minister through a pandemic? I think I missed that class." And I think a lot of us missed that class. But what I want to say about that is that I think we do it just like we do every other time, all the time. We do it with love and with connection and with compassion and with not forgetting our spiritual practice, not forgetting our spiritual principles, and just staying connected. That's how we do every single day. And so we're really in a beautiful spot right now to be of service to the world with our principles, with our practices. And so I'm just so grateful to be able to be here together in our community and sharing on Facebook Live and on YouTube, and knowing that all of our centers around the country and the world are doing the same. So we're really connecting at a deep level. And so, what I would love for us to do is just take a moment to breathe together, just really do our spiritual practice and bring ourselves present, because stress and anxiety usually is about worries about the future, or anxiety about what's going to happen, or oftentimes it's regret or concern about what's been in the past or what's going to happen. And so the best thing we can do when we're in a moment of challenge or crisis is to just bring ourselves present, just bring ourselves right into this present moment. And some of the ways that we can do that is to just notice your breath. That's always the very first thing we can do, is notice our breath, not change it, but just allow it to feel into our bodies. To calm our nervous systems, oftentimes it's good to take the emphasis off of our nervous system. And so you just put your attention, do this right now, just put your attention into your hands. Just feel into your hands, the temperature or the tingliness or the energy. And then just feel into your feet. Same thing. It just kind of takes your energy away from that core nervous system and just feel into your feet. And you just might even notice your body settling down just in that, doing that little bit. And then to continue to keep bringing ourselves completely present, just look around your environment right now in this room. So you look around, you see, who you're with and what's going on around you, and that just brings you present. And again, because sometimes when we're feeling fearful or unsafe, it's because we have a dread that something's going to happen. And so in that moment, we can say, am I safe right now? In this very moment, am I safe? And that could also mean, how am I safe? What are the things that make me safe in this moment? I'm thinking about, I'm in my home, I've got a roof over my head. We have all kinds of ways that we keep safe in our world, stop signs and all kinds of things that keep us safe. And so just what in this moment, even just our clothes, keeping us safe from elements. That's a very powerful thing to bring us safe in this moment. Some of the other ways I think about being well stocked at the moment. I'm sure all of us are feeling pretty confident maybe about our toilet paper supply. For just this moment, right? So if we do this several times a day, and we don't get caught up in all the barrage of information and things that are going on, that can really keep our nervous system safe and in a better place to be able to deal with what it is that we have to deal with every single day. So I want to talk a little bit more about this idea of fear. Because again, you see it on Facebook. I've seen it with my colleagues, like, no, don't be so fearful, don't be so fearful. And I would just say, let's just think about that for a moment, because fear is not really a bad thing, right? Fear is something that protects us, it keeps us safe. We have to have it. It's an evolutionary thing that if we didn't have some kind of fear, we would have not been able to survive. And so the thing that we don't want to do is get caught up in it, right? That creates the anxiety and the stress of it. But we can just acknowledge that fears can be a very good thing for us in our lives, and that we can just acknowledge that and just, okay, I'm feeling fear right now, and that's okay. That's okay. I can breathe into it and know that I'm going to be okay. So we have a lot of different layers, and especially in this type of a situation. We're concerned for our health of our families, but we also might be concerned for our financial well-being, for those who are compromised or at high risk. It could be, I saw on Facebook someone that said, "I'm an introvert. I've been preparing for this my whole life, to be isolated and to be at home and not go out." And so for the introverts of the world, it's like, hey, this isn't so bad. I got a whole bunch of books to read. I'm fine. But others of us that may be more social, may have that more extroverted, this could be a really kind of stressful time. And so just being able to honor that and to feel into that and to not be so hard on ourselves. Some of the mindfulness techniques that we can use from Elisha Goldstein shares with us about when we kind of get into this fear and this anxiety, that sometimes we judge ourselves. So in Buddhism, it's called the second arrow. We have the first arrow hit us with our anxiety and our fear, and then we hit ourselves with another one by judging what we're doing, how we're being, how we're experiencing it. And so if you notice yourself being self-critical about maybe the anxiety, the fear that you're feeling, you can just place your hand on your heart and say, may I learn to be kinder to myself? May I just learn to be kinder to myself? And that could be true of others. If we're feeling judgmental around others and their experience, that we can be kinder for whatever each person might be going through and might be experiencing in this moment. Another thing we can do is just what we did, practice tuning into the senses. Elisha Goldstein says, practice 3x3 practice, which means drop into 3 of your senses and name 3 things that you notice about them. So in other words, name 3 things you're seeing, you're smelling, you're tasting, you're feeling, or you're hearing. And this can help interrupt the automatic catastrophic thinking that fuels that fear or that anxiety. And then, of course, the last one is to channel your fearful or your anxious energy. That means you might get out and take a brisk walk. Open air activities are really good for us right now. So go out, walk, take a bite, do a hike, ride on your bicycle, do something, go gardening, or of course you can clean. I know that I've been much more aware of the cleaning that seems that I've been lackluster about as far as keeping everything clean. So there's things that we can do to change up that energy. And so, I just wanted to start with some of that because, again, our spiritual practice is really important. And these are our spiritual practices. And as we do these if we've been doing them, as we sit in our meditation, we do our prayer work, we create our community. When we have a crisis like this happen or, gets disrupted, we have a resource within us. And so continue your spiritual practice, continue your connecting with community, continue your mindfulness and bringing yourself present can really move us through this. And as we become calmer, as we become more resource, then we become a resource for others. Because that's the real power in it, is being that resource for others in the world. So our theme this month has been honoring the divine feminine of all. And I changed my talk title a little bit today because of our situation. And I titled it Community and the Web of Interbeing. And interbeing just really means interconnection, that there's this web of connection that we're all a part of. And the community is part of that. And we can see that, can't we, now with how important it is that we're all connected to each other, that we all have some connection with each other. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about if you've been following our theme, you know that today's talk was really about the law as womb, which Dr. Holmes talked about the feminine nature of the law. And when we talk about the law, we're talking about the law of cause and effect, that which we put our word into that creates, and that this law is receptive, and it just takes what it is that we give it. And so even though I can understand Dr. Holmes sharing that as a feminine energy, I think it's a little antiquated. I'll just say it. I'll just say it. Dr. Holmes, that he was really trying to connect the feminine. But what I know about the feminine is that it can be just as directive. It can be just as focused. And instead, what I would like to talk about today is the masculine being kind of an individual energy, that independence, the lone wolf, the action oriented, in that independent individual way. And the feminine nature, the divine feminine, is much more communal and collective. And the energy can be just as forceful and just as fast, and yet it's more of a collective energy. And so in the book that we're reading this month called Wild Mercies by Mirabai Starr, that's the title of my talk today, came from that book, Community and the Web of Interbeing. And she talks about the divine feminine this way. I love what she says. She says, The feminine mystic is a different creature than the manly prophet. She is no lone wolf raising her voice in the wilderness. She is only as powerful as her community. Alone, she is nothing, and she knows it. The very concept of an individual Messiah makes no sense to her. When she hears the cries of the world, she reached out. I love this. She reached out, she grasped the hands of her sisters, gathered up her children, and asked the blessings of her elders. She kissed her lover and turns the kettle to simmer and rides straight into the arms of the mystery, where she will wait until it is clear what needs to be done. Then, together with her companions, she'll do it. Now, doesn't that sound what we're doing right now in the world? What we're doing within our communities, within our families, is we're gathering together, we're creating our resources, we're taking care of what we need to take care of. And what the beautiful thing about the divine feminine is that we also connect into the intuition that comes forward for us of what is ours to do, how is it that we are to be, and that's the power of acknowledging and bringing this feminine divine feminine into our world. And every week we say our vision statement, which is to awaken to our innate oneness with our divine source, our planet, and each other, then act knowing that oneness matters. And we can see this right now, right? That so much so when we awaken to our oneness with each other, with the globe, with the planet, with our connection, we can really see that and what's going on in our world right now. But the beautiful thing is that it changes us. That understanding of our interconnection changes us. Mirabai Starr says this: once we have tasted the glory of our unity with all creation, we can never again fall for the illusion of our independence from the global community. Isn't that a powerful thing for us to think about right now? That we are so connected to our global community. And I don't know if any of us, after what we've been experiencing, or once we move through this pandemic, will ever forget that interconnectedness, that we can't fall into that illusion and think that we're independent and think that we can do this all by ourselves. These are powerful words, and it reminds us of this interconnectedness. But just like our vision statement doesn't stop with awakening to our innate oneness with each other, with our planet, with our divine source, the last part of that is to act, knowing that our oneness matters. Mirabai Starr talks about this as well. She says, for the feminine, the line between contemplative life and social and environmental action is blurry to the point of insignificance. She turns inward, where she recognizes herself in all beings, which moves her to turn outward and act on behalf of the whole. That's a powerful statement. I'm going to say that last part again. So she turns inward, and we know that the divine feminine is just not in females, right? So I'm just not talking to the women here. I'm talking to that aspect of us that turns within. We recognize within ourselves the connection to all beings. And then that moves her to turn her outward and act on the benefit of the whole. So again, this is what we're doing. These are all our principles. This is all our practice, that we start by going within, we center ourselves, we allow ourselves to feel resourced in our own spiritual practice, we connect with our own intuition and intuitive nature, and then we don't stay there. We turn out and we act out into the world. And so, interestingly, one of the ways that we're acting out into the world right now is by distancing ourselves physically from each other. But that's the loving act that we're doing because of our interconnectedness, because of how interconnected we are. And so I was reading an article in the Atlantic this week called "The Shift Americans Must Make to Fight the Coronavirus," and it's by Megan O'Rourke. And I was really so appreciating this mainstream article talking about the principles that we teach. And Megan O'Rourke said, Americans have allowed ourselves to believe that the self, rather than the community, must do all the healing. COVID-19 is a stark reminder that the community, rather than the self, may be the first line of protection. And we know this within our spiritual life. We can't do it on ourselves. We can't do it by ourselves. It takes community and connection with others. She says, COVID-19 gives us an opportunity to frame our fears not in the context of panic or overwhelming anxiety, but as care. Our interconnectedness is part of the very meaning of life. So we come from this place of care to act in a way that is of the benefit for ourselves and for our community and for our world, really. She talks in there about John Donne and his famous saying, you might have heard it, no man is an island. And she tells the story about how that came to be. And Donne he was 51 years old. He was the dean of St. Paul's Cathedral when he fell ill and he got sick with the plague. And it was in spotted fever. And it was in 1623. And his daughter was getting married and he really wanted to go, but he knew he couldn't because he's contagious. And so he asked his daughter, he said, just go ahead and go because I want you to get married. I want you to keep going. And so it was from his bed, he listened to the church bells toll of the news of the weddings and of the deaths from the epidemic that was around him. Said, physically, Donne felt largely alone. And he said, veritably, and therefore miserable condition of man, this minute I was well and am ill this minute, he wrote, as sickness is the greatest misery, to the greatest misery of sickness is solitude. And yet the verily loneliness of lying in bed was what led him to his most famous insight about the human experience. No man is an island, entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. Any man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never sent to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. So it's this interconnectedness of knowing the oneness that we are, that we teach and we talk about so much. And when we know that, then we become less tight with our resources. When we know that we're resourced, and we know that the divine is moving through us, we know that our needs are taken care of, then we're able to be freer and less fearful. So, and it's easy to get caught up in that, right? I mean, I went to Costco on Wednesday morning thinking, middle of the week, morning, it's all be good. And as I drove into the parking lot and all these people were just swarming, and every single cart that came out had 2 or 3 of these big gigantic things of toilet paper. I mean, really, truly. And I kind of started walking and I'm thinking, I better get in there. I kind of started getting into that energy of it. Did anyone else have that experience this week of kind of getting caught up into that? And then I practiced. I was like, oh wait, I can be in this present moment. All is well. I can look around me. Everything is fine. I can look up and make eye contact and smile and help people get things. And I don't have to hoard, and I can just get just what I need and leave it, and so that energy shifted in me because I'm aware of not being caught up in all that energy and loving those who do get caught up in it. That's the thing that's the most powerful for us, loving those who get caught up in it, but realizing that where our strength is in the sharing, as in the sharing of resources and coming together and knowing that everything we need is available to us through the sharing of our good. There's a story by a lady named Siobhan Kukulik, and she's a teacher, and she shares a story. She said, a teacher friend of mine was teaching math to a class of 6-year-olds, and a number of who were recently arrived refugees from other countries. The topic was fractions. My friend defined what a half and a quarter were, and then asked the children to write down whether they would prefer a half or a quarter of a chocolate bar. As she walked around the room, she noticed that some of the new students wrote that they would prefer a quarter of the chocolate bar. My friend thought she was going to have to reteach the whole lesson, as they didn't appear to understand that half was bigger than a quarter. So she asked the students why they would prefer a quarter of chocolate bar, and one little girl replied, so that more people could have a piece of chocolate. She said, I cried when I heard that story. It reminded me of how beautiful humanity is if we take a moment to notice it. So we have within us to come from this place of love and generosity and sharing, and that this time is made for our thoughts, our philosophies around this whole idea. And the truth is, the other thing that's been an interesting part of this whole thing is this idea of maybe denying the physical, maybe only going to the spiritual truth of who we are, and not really acknowledging that our physical body is a part of the spiritual universe. But the physical universe is the manifest body of the one infinite reality. And that one infinite reality is more than the physical universe, Dr. Holmes says. Creation is an expression of the one infinite reality. It is inherently good and is ever evolving for greater expressions of good. Our spiritual leader, Dr. Edward Fillion, wrote this to us this week. He said, everything in the world can then be seen as arising from our shared reality, not as something to be conquered, but to be transcended and transformed through our understanding and our love. Acknowledging that fear of the virus is part of our shared experience, we are called to respond with both compassion and spiritual conviction, and to move forward together with deep recognition of one and wholeness. So what we're called here to do is to acknowledge our body as part of our spiritual being, to nurture it, to care for it, to be a place of love and understanding and connection for others, and to practice what it is that we talk about. Dr. Holmes said, our own presence and our consciousness from the presence of the physical world around us implies the necessity of the universal intelligence which coordinates everything into one complete unity. It is actually the only way we can be conscious of our world is if we are connected to it, if we are part of it. That's the vehicle that we have in order to even interact, to even connect with each other. And so we become this healing presence for each other. Dr. Holmes said, unless we become the living embodiment of love and light, we shall have no justification in saying that God is love and light. Unless we embody that presence, we have no justification of saying that God is love and light, unless we are the expression of that love and light, unless we are anchored into that. And I shared this affirmation this week, and I shared it to the letter to you all, but it's a beautiful affirmation for us to realize the power that we are to be the healing force in the world. So I just want you to close your eyes with me and take in this affirmation, and I'm going to share a prayer as well. So the presence of spirit within me blesses everyone I meet, tends to heal everything I touch, brings gladness into the life of everyone I contact. Therefore, I'm a blessing to myself, to humankind, and to the day in which I live. So just breathe that in, that we can be this loving presence, this healing energy that every person that I meet, everything I touch is transformed into the divine energy that is the truth of who we are. And so as we stay in that energy of being a healing presence, I want to share this poem with you. It's from Cameron Wiggins Bellum. You might have read it on Facebook. May we who are merely inconvenienced remember those whose lives are at stake. May we who have no risk factors remember those most vulnerable. May we who have the luxury of working from home remember those who must choose between preserving their health or making their rent. May we who have flexibility to care for our children when their schools close remember those who have no options. May we who have to cancel our trips remember those who have no safe places to go. May we who are losing our margin money and the tumult of the economic market remember those who have no margin at all. May we who settle in for the quarantine at home remember those who have no home. As fear grips our country, let us choose love. During this time when we cannot physically wrap our arms around each other, let us yet find ways to be the loving embrace of God and to our neighbors. As we take in this wish for those that are affected, all of us that are affected by this time. Let us just breathe into our heart space now. And if you choose, just think of a situation in your life where you have felt safe and loved. It might be a place that you visited. It could be a community that you're part of. It could be a person that makes you feel this way. Just bring forward that feeling of that energy of love and safety. And as you do this, expand this energy into your very being, like rain coming down into your whole physical body, of this sense of love and safety and healing and wholeness. And in feeling into that, link it now to this very moment in time, feeling into being safe and whole and healthy and well and loved right now, in this moment, at this time in your life. And as you feel into this for yourself, just allow that energy to overflow in your physical body and tunnel out into your world right now. And you can even visualize us all being together in our sacred space. And just notice how that energy fills up your room and fills up the energy in the space of those who are sitting in their own rooms. For even though we're separated by physical distance, this energy is a real connection that we have. And allow this energy to expand above your home or wherever you're sitting today, and just blanket your whole neighborhood, place where you are. You might even give it a green healing energy as we do this love, this safety, this wholeness, this healing. And allow that energy to just move out from your neighborhood to your town, to the state that you're in. Just lift up. Let us move to our capital and all the lawmakers and the people that are there to make the wise decision for our health and wholeness. Let us connect to any vulnerable people that may be unsheltered, may not have the health care or the means to ride this challenge without help or support. Just know that the resources, the help, the support, the shelter, food, the healthcare is made available to all. That this time brings that awareness to us of how interconnected we are, and that we are only as healthy as the sickest among us, as the most vulnerable among us. Let us expand throughout the world with this healing energy of love and wholeness around the globe, to all the places that are being challenged and experiencing this epidemic. And as you feel into that energy of love and expand it out into the universal energy, the universal presence, that which we truly are, the oneness, this innate oneness with life itself. And even as you leave that loving health and whole energy behind, you can just bring yourself back to this place. Breathe yourself back into your body. Breathe down and through your heart, into your body, through your feet, and onto the floor. Bring yourself present in this moment. As we place a hand over our heart and speak these words of truth, that there is only one divine presence, one power that is available and moving in and through all things at this very moment, is the energy of love. That energy of love moves through me in this moment as I speak this word for all of us, that there is wholeness and health and well-being radiating out from each of us at this very moment that we are the presence of healing and wholeness for ourselves and for our world. So I claim and know that each of us touches somebody with that divine energy of love. Even if we physically can't touch them, we can energetically know the truth and know that perfect health and wholeness, and that we are loved and blessed in this time. I'm so grateful for this truth. I know it is already done as we come together in community, as we collectively bring that power of truth into our lives. I know we are so, so blessed. So I let it go. I let it be. It is done. And so it is. And so, thank you. We're going to have Patty and Brent sing for us again.
Already alright. I live in a world of delight, but I long for what I see. Yes, it's pretty now cheek, now let it be. Choose the light, think and know when it's alright. It's already alright. It's already alright. Believe that we night, dressed in all its majesty, gonna live with the flow, with my prayers. I release, I let go. Now we see all the way. We have known every day. It's already alright. We live in a world of delight, where we long for what we see. Yes, it's not cheap, now let it be. Choose the light, make and know when it's alright. It's already alright. It's already alright. It's already alright. It's already alright. Skies clear and free. Live above clouds of mystery. Gonna trust, give it time, letting peace fill our hearts, fill our minds. There are so many ways we are shown every day. Yeah. Hey, hey. It's already alright. We live in a world of delight. What we long for, what we see. Yes, it's not cheap to cheat. Let it be. Choose the light. Make them know when it's alright. It's already alright. It's already alright. It's already alright. It's already alright. Gonna trust. Give it time. It's already alright. It's already alright. It's already alright. It's already alright.
Yay, thank you. It's already all right. Wow, that's a great affirmation for us to remember this week. It's already all right. And so let us, you just say it out loud, however you want, in your own room. We'll keep you on mute as we say our vision statement together. And again, we just continue to deepen into the truth of our vision statement, to awaken our inherent oneness with divine source, our planet, and each other, and then act knowing that oneness matters. And so it is. All right, and so this is our time of sharing. This is a really wonderful time to thank everybody who gives on an automatic basis, and there's lots of ways to share. If you would like to text your donation, it's really easy. You just dial that number and you just text to that number the amount that you want to give. So, you know, whatever the number is that you want to give, and then it'll, if you've never done it before, it'll come back and ask you for your information. So it's a really easy way to give. And as we're all separate right now, just remember that our spiritual community still needs support, even if we're doing this online. So please share whatever it is that you're giving today, and we still appreciate all the gifts. So let us just say out loud together: Divine Source blesses all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give thanks that this is so, and so it is. Patty is going to share this song, Oh Mother God. Sing along if you like, but stay on mute, okay? Not Patty and Brent, though. They can come on mute.
Okay. Go for it. Oh, Mother God, rolling through our hearts, we give thanks for the bread of our life, for the hands in the earth, and the fruit of your womb. Oh, Mother God, blessed be. Oh, Mother God, blessed be. Oh, Mother God, thank you for this day, for the love that you wash over me, and this joy in my heart I will share with the world. Oh, Mother God, blessed be. Oh, Mother God, blessed be. Oh, Mother God, blessed be.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So announcements today. I do have a new online class, and so it's good. It's a great time to start an online class. It's called The Power of Your Word. Information, you can get that information at csl.org, online classes. If you've taken Foundations or the Beyond Limits, then you qualify for this class. And if you've taken it before and you would like to take it again and you had credit for it, it's only $20. So come join us as we deepen again into the principles that we teach about the power of our belief, of our word, of our spiritual practice. And as you might know already, we will be having service online again next week and the week after that as well. And so we hope that we'll see you. And I think Nam Shakti and Charlene and I are talking about creating a prayer time, a weekly prayer time for you to come on and do prayer work with each other as well while we're not just while we're in quarantine, but always. So yeah, keep a lookout. If you haven't signed up for our forum, you can email me, revsunday@cslleesburg.org, and I'll get you on our forum so you can get information, our listserv to get information for that. All right, so this is our time of sharing our pearls, and if you would like to share verbally, you can just take yourself off mute and do that. You can also share it within our chat, and we'll read it out. And so we'd love to hear how this experience went for you. It's a little different for me not having an audience. So, so who would like to share? I'd love to hear.
I'd like to share. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank Patty and Brent for their just locious performance. It was wonderful. And I miss seeing them in person, but it's really great to have this this whole thing happen. Really appreciate it. And like what you said about the prayer of being aware of what we have, what others don't. And so that's it for me.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else?
I really like the whole aspect of the community and us, being one with each other, and how as we heal, everyone heals. That's kind of what I got from it. But how important it is for us to not just think of ourselves, but think about everyone else as well, that we're all one.
Thank you, Namshakti.
Hello, it's Dabney. I'd just like to say I'm so grateful to be part of this community, and it's just a joy in my life, and it helps me to be a better person every day. And I'm so grateful for all of the practitioners and all of my fellow Centers for Spiritual Living friends, and just to thank everyone so much. My heart is full. Thank you.
Thank you, Dabney. So good hearing from you guys. Tamara.
I am so grateful for the technology that can link us from our homes. It just blows my mind that we have this. And Sunday, thank you so much for opening with just ways to address and relieve anxiety for those who are feeling it. I wrote down the line, am I safe right now at this moment? And that has helped me in the past. And I think I'll go to that a few times if I ever start to feel anxious. And I love Patty and Brent, the song and the message that you had. It's already all right. That's another thing that I noted in my book. Looking over the chat room, I've been monitoring that. I haven't seen anything, but I have been communicating with Larry. He had a late night last night, but his mother is doing well. So I just wanted to share that with everyone.
Thank you, Tamara. Anything else before we close up? Yes. Yes, good. Yes. Yeah, and thank you to Charlene for being just the tech whiz that helped us put all this together, and for Patty and Brent for sharing your music with us. I think it went well, and for Namshakti. Namshakti did set up a beautiful altar. It has its own picture, so if you hadn't had a chance to see it, you can see the sacred space altar, so that we continue our traditions of having that beautiful altar. All right, any other thoughts before we sing our final song? Right, Patty and Brent, take it away. Thank you all.
I said, Spirit, withhold nothing from me. Spirit, withhold nothing from me. It is done as I believe. Spirit, withhold nothing from me. I said, Spirit, withhold nothing from me. Well, Spirit, withhold nothing from me. It is done as I believe. I declare joy like a fountain. I declare peace like a river. I withhold nothing from me. Spirit, withhold nothing from me. It is done as I believe. I declare word, joy like a fountain. I declare peace, peace like a river. I declare faith, faith to move mountains. It is done as I believe. It is done as I believe. It is done as I believe.
Yeah, thank you. And Charlene, I'm wondering if you could stop sharing so we can all see each other, except for on Facebook Live. You can spot. There we go. Because I want us to do our affirmation, and so just place your hand over your heart, close your eyes, and just say out loud, "I am love." And now look around. I want you to look at these faces. You can't do this on Facebook Live, but we can see each other. And just say, "You're love. You're love.
Your
You're
love.
love. You're love." You can take off your mute if you want.
Your
You're
love. Your love. Your love. Your love.
All right, and let's do
I
some
got
love
my mute
sprinkles.
off.
It's all
Oh my gosh.
love. It's all
It's
love.
all love.
All love. So love you
All love.
guys.
Yep.
Stay safe. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
Robert.
Brett and Patty.
How does who controls his space?
Hey, Charlene, are we off Facebook Live? Yeah. We can stay in for a second if anybody wants to.
Hey, yeah, cool.
Good to see everybody.
I'm sad to leave.
So,
Faces.
yeah, it's good to see you guys.
Do we have to pick up the chair?